how the vaccine procurement decisions were made in the early stages of the pandemic is an important story to be told in this House, and shall do it today. Spoiler alert, this story has a happy ending, as noted by Mr. Liang Yinghua. Despite our small size, and despite the worldwide shortage, Singapore was the first country in Asia to obtain COVID-19 vaccines, enough for all our people. But we also paid a price. So here's what happened. During the early phase of the pandemic, we set up an interagency work group chaired by the head of civil service and comprising senior officials from agencies, PMO, MOH, A-STAR, EDB, HSA, to develop our vaccine procurement approach. Once they were formed, they immediately faced two challenges. First, COVID-19 was a new virus. Although several vaccines were concurrently being developed at that time, nobody knew which one would work, so which one to buy. Second, every country was clamoring for vaccines, and there was limited manufacturing capability to meet that demand. As a small market, we lack negotiating power, always been so. And this would normally push us down the priority queue for delivery. The situation was worsened by supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic. But time was of essence. So how to secure assured and early deliveries of vaccines? So on the first question of what to buy, the work group recommended a portfolio approach. Don't put all our bets on one vaccine, but buy a selected number of vaccines across different technological platforms. And this includes both mRNA and non-mRNA vaccines. And since we did not know which vaccine candidate would work, and we had to buy several types, and if one don't work, we must make sure the other one have enough volumes to cover our population. So therefore, we need to over-procure, such that the combined volumes of all the vaccine candidates more than cover the population of Singapore. On the question of how to secure assured and early delivery, we leveraged our relationships with the pharmaceutical companies and entered into advanced purchase agreements with fixed delivery schedules and quantities. Then the first batch of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccines arrived in late 2020, Singapore being the first country in Asia to receive them. We rolled out the national vaccination program shortly after, from December 2020. Again, one of the first few countries in the world to do so, I think only after UK, US, and maybe Israel. The Moderna vaccine was added to the national vaccination program in March 2021, and Sinovac and Novavax in October 2021 and February 2022, respectively. Looking back today, if we can go back in time, and given the uncertainties, the high stakes, what we knew, what we did not know, and the challenges we face, I think we would have done things the same way. But there is a price to be paid, because we deliberately over-procured to mitigate the uncertainty of selected vaccine candidate not working and the possibility of supply chain being disrupted. There would be spare vaccine stock, which will expire. Some months ago, MOH was asked by the media how much of our vaccines had expired. We could only reply that about 10% of our stock had expired because of confidentiality agreements that we have entered into with the drug suppliers, the vaccine suppliers. I would have preferred to be more transparent and forthcoming with the information. We have since discussed with the vaccine suppliers, and they have agreed. We can review the total value of the expired vaccines so long as we do not give further breakdowns of quantity that enable people to guesstimate or estimate the cost of each dose, which is what they are sensitive about. So these are the numbers. To date, expired vaccines are about 15% of the doses we ordered, with a total value of Sing dollars 140 million. In the coming months, this is likely to rise to close to 25% as more vaccines expire. After that, it should stabilize. We had tried to donate our spare vaccines, but there have been no takers because there has been an oversupply of vaccines in the world. Manufacturers have ramped up their production capacity and demand has been going down as pandemic stabilizes. There are reports estimating that expired vaccines globally could range up to 500 million doses or more. The expiry of unused vaccines was an insurance premium, the price we were prepared to pay to stave off the risk of catastrophic consequences. Without vaccines, we would certainly have to resort to further circuit breakers during the Delta and Omicron waves in late 2021 and then throughout 2022. But we did not have to because the vaccines, we got them early and they protected us. More importantly, our approach averted many deaths due to COVID-19 infections and protected Singaporeans. So this is our vaccine strategy going into the future. First, MOH will maintain and periodically refresh an adequate stock of COVID-19 vaccines to allow continued protection of the elderly and vulnerable as needed, and to facilitate a rapid response should there be a major or more severe pandemic wave. Second, we will maintain a network of vaccination centres, primary care clinics, polyclinics, and a baseline footprint of 5 to 10 joint testing and vaccination centres, even during DOSCON Green. With this, we will be able to administer a booster to all persons aged 50 and above and the medically vulnerable within 3 weeks, if necessary. Third, we are negotiating agreements to secure early access to vaccines against other pathogens with pandemic potential. These might include new influenza and other respiratory viruses. Fourth, we will invest in vaccine research and development, like the PREPARE program I spoke about earlier. One of our objectives is to establish how to quickly develop a working vaccine based on either the mRNA or protein subunit platform and bring it to clinical trials locally. Fifth, through the EDB's effort, we will be anchoring 6 vaccine manufacturing plants in Singapore. So in response to Dr. Tan Wu Ming, EDB will continue to engage other vaccine manufacturers to invest in Singapore, grow our biomedical sector capabilities, and cement our position as a pharmaceutical hub of Asia. And finally, we will continue to do our part to strengthen global health security and support fair and equitable access to vaccines. There is now a global effort to develop a safe, effective vaccines within 100 days of a public health emergency of international concern being declared. And MOH, we are actively contributing to that effort. We write the story to record suffering and sacrifice, but also strength and remarkable commitment on the part of so many to successfully overcome the crisis. And so we write our next chapter, not knowing whether the world will dawn bright or dark, hostile or friendly, but confident in ourselves that Singapore has become stronger through this crisis and we can stand taller to meet the next one. Thank you, sir.